Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the English shooting live stream, the final one for 2021. Who thought we would make it to the end of the year? It's been a pretty wild one. Obviously, off the back of 2020, you could say that we prepared for anything, but 2020 has thrown 2021 has still thrown quite a lot at us, and it's peaked for me at the end, because despite somehow avoiding it for the last two years or however long it's been going on now, I managed to finally catch the flu. So I'm actually ending up my 2021 in isolation. If my voice goes at any point during the stream, if I sound different to normal, that's probably why. Luckily, I'm on the tail end of it now, and should be good as gold by next week. Anyway, that's what I've been promised. So yeah, I'm feeling okay. Somehow I managed to film the video a couple of days ago. Of course, there is a video addressing the whole thing around crossbows and the Windsor Castle siege. I honestly thought I was not going to be able to do that. Managed to smash that one out and get it edited and out, obviously, just about an hour before this stream. Go and check that out if you're interested in learning a little bit more, not only about the whole crossbow law and potential for new restrictions and legislations, but also to draw a sort of a comparison and a parallel. I compared it to the Scottish Airgun licensing, and it's something that people have asked for me to do for quite a long time. I think specifically the laws in Scotland around airgun licensing, that I still haven't done, but doing a lot of research and investigation around the whole process of getting the licensing implemented, the cost of doing it, and the demonstrable failure that it has become and is since its implementation is really quite interesting. So it's sort of a tale of two halves, stories, whatever. That video. So it's about the crossbows, but also about Scottish airgun licensing. We will be touching on the whole crossbow thing this evening, because we're looking forward to 2022. And I can imagine that crossbows are still going to be in the conversation and very much a headline topic for next year. But it was interesting. I really, what this live stream is going to be is sort of a year in review, looking back at 2021. There was a lot that I'd forgotten that had happened. It's been a completely wild year. So yeah, it was surprising going, oh, I can't believe I forgot that happened. Oh yeah, it's because that happened straight after it, and then we sort of forgot about that. And also looking towards 2022, there are a lot of issues going on at the moment for UK firearms owners, sports shooters, gun owners, whatever. And I think optimistically we could see some improvements, but we'll go over what the difficulties are, how they may get better in 2022, or whether we will see any any decline in things moving forward. But of course, the standard format of this stream, it is interactive. You can join in, you can ask questions, you can bring up topics, anything that you want to bring up and ask, please do so. If you want to get involved in the conversation, have your opinion heard on anything that we discussed, use that chat box. And of course, don't forget to like the stream. It takes 2 seconds. It's absolutely free, and it really does help the stream and the channel grow, beating the YouTube analytics. And we all love to beat a little bit of YouTube when it comes to gun YouTube channels. But moreover, a big thanks for joining this evening. And let's get into it. So, how could things get better in 2022? Well, I'm gonna say it. I don't think it can get much worse. Like, there we go, said it. It's going to be all downhill from now. Of course, one of the biggest pressing issues, we've been talking about this week on week for like the past month or two, is the inefficiencies or the reluctancy of firearm licensing departments in issuing certificates. More recently, Hampshire, they have started to refund people with their applications, putting them, not only just refunding them and keeping them in the queue, told them that when you reapply, it's first come first serve. You're gonna have to join the queue again, which I think is absolutely disgusting. You've got North Yorkshire, I think it was, who's completely shut down shop, I think, for an early Christmas, and of course places like Devon and Cornwall that have pretty much stopped issuing certificates and have quite literally sent out armed police to take away as many certificates as they can, all hours on the morning, for even the most mundane and almost like petty things. I know as firearms owners, it's above reproach here in the UK, but someone got a knock on the door in the evening, his whole family there, I think, sat down for dinner, armed police come sort of bursting in to revoke his certificate over a speeding ticket. Like, okay, yes, you shouldn't speed, and yes, speeding does look negatively on you, on your character and sort of your law-abiding nature. But in my experience, firearms licensing departments and firearm inquiry officers do not give two tosses. Yes, if you end up losing your license or you've got 9 points on your license, then maybe that's going to be taken into account a little bit more. But like, everybody gets, it's almost like one of these, it's not a question of if you get caught speeding, it's when. And it's not just boy racers and people that like driving fast. It really happens to everyone. People that I know religiously, or almost religiously, stick to the speed limit. You end up somewhere new. You think it's a 40 and it's a 30. You get pinged, or 50 and a 40, so on and so forth. So it does happen, and FEOs usually brush that off. To have the overreaction to send in armed police to revoke somebody's certificate over like a traffic offence, yeah, that's not good, and hopefully that all gets sorted out. But on top of all of this, because of COVID, because of the lockdowns, there is a massive backlog still within firearms licensing departments, and I really do feel optimistic that in 2022 we are going to see this hopefully cleared and things eased up a little bit more. There is the speculation that we will see a lockdown in January. I think that's looking less and less likely. My prediction was that they weren't going to have a lockdown for New Year's. That turned out to be correct. I think learning more and more about where we are with COVID at the moment and the variants that are about, that they are seemingly less mild, there's less hospitalizations. I can't see the extent of lockdowns like we did in 2021 or 2020, or certainly the stoppage of outdoor activities and also working from home and offices. It's really like this multifaceted sort of problem that COVID has produced for shooting within the UK, because there's the licensing departments shutting down and seizing up and backing and backlogging, and there's also not able to go out and actually do the sport. 2021 was fairly unaffected overall in terms of people rearranging things and rescheduling. There were a number of matches that were cancelled, unfortunately. I think we're going to see that less in 2022. And yeah, if we have a lockdown, I think it will be much smaller, a lot less impactful. Let's not forget that we have had like 2 years of this now, or 18 months of this now, and people know what they're doing. People have got, apart from FLDs, but people have sort of got into the swing of it. We've adapted. People know how to work remotely, know how to work Zoom without making themselves into a cat or flashing their bollocks thinking that their screen is off or camera is off. So, or that would be interesting for a firearms licensing department meeting, or like imagine that for your firearms certificate application interview, and you think the camera's off, and they get a full view of your meat and vegetables. They might even take that as a bribe. I don't know. At this point, I'm willing to try anything. So yeah, I think we will see things ease up. Of course, places like Hampshire seem to love the excuse of COVID and shutting down shop. Others haven't followed suit just yet. They're using the excuse. They're using the excuse of COVID in terms of the backlog and the slowdown in processing applications, but I think overall most firearms licensing departments are just getting on with it, and will continue to process and clear this backlog and hopefully get back to normal. Of course, one of the biggest events for sort of firearms ownership and firearms in general within the UK for 2021 was the Plymouth shooting. I don't think we've yet seen the full fallout of that just yet. So it was pretty impactful in 2021. I think we're going to see more come of it, but I think we've seen the worst. And nobody tell Connors, I'm on the Coke Zero this evening. Funny enough, I had a appallingly sore throat all of last night. Didn't sleep at all last night, and was really like in pain all of today. And I had a Coke Zero, and it literally cleared the pain away. Throat is absolutely fine now. And there was me thinking that Pepsi Max had the magical cure. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, Plymouth, it is still going to have an effect. I don't think we're going to see any legislation or guidance changes. We've seen the guidance change. It's been labelled as a result of Plymouth. I don't think, well, we all know that's just a complete load of bullshit. But in terms of the reluctance for FLDs to issue certificates, I think we've had that initial jolt. Devon and Cornwall are sort of going above and beyond, are still sending out the armed police to take away licenses over speeding tickets, but I think we've seen the major reaction to that so far. I think firearms licensing departments, yes, we are going to see that effect into 2022 of them being maybe slightly more cautious and having Plymouth in the back of their mind, and crossing the T's and dotting the I's as they should be. I think that there might be some complacency on their part. I think that's definitely what we saw with Devon and Cornwall in the first place that led to the Plymouth shooting, is just absolute, well, either incompetence or complacency, one or if not both. So in a way, to get the firearms licensing departments to make sure that they are doing their job so stuff like that doesn't happen, this is in a way a reminder for them to cross those T's and dot those I's. But yeah, I think that will continue to curtail. I don't think we're going to see any potential major backlashes in 2022. There is that looming the police consultation or the survey that they put out. That seemed quite ominous. The worst that I think is going to happen with that is increased fees. That's very much the tone of that survey. That may come out in 2022, or it may take a lot longer for them to bring that implementation or to fully understand the results of those answers. But yeah, I think that's what they were vying for. I don't know if they necessarily got the right confirmation from the answers to justify upping the fees, but we all know they've wanted to do that for a long time. We always know that they're trying to put as many barriers as possible in place. We all know they're trying to make it as difficult as possible for people to get their certificates and enter the sport, and cost and the price of getting your certificates and that application is just another barrier. In a way, I sort of look at it like the getting your motorcycle license here in the UK. I remember when I was 16, I had a moped, and I very much fancied in going and getting a full bike license. And I remember about that. That would have been, that was a long time ago. 2008. 2007. 2007. That's when and I was really looking. I went and did a bit of an assessment and wanted to go forward with it. And they said that they were changing the criteria, and they were going to make it significantly harder. So basically, if you wanted to get in, do it now. If you wait, not only is it going to be harder, it's going to be a lot more expensive because of the criteria of the test. There has to be more training and more assessment. And it's because the government don't want people on motorbikes. It was some crazy statistic, like motorbikes make up less than 1% of all road users, but account for something like 20% of all fatalities, a disproportionate amount of fatalities for the amount of motorcyclists out there. So, and I see that with guns as well. Making the application process difficult, increasing the cost is going to put people off. It's going to reduce numbers, which is what we know they all want. So yeah, we could see some potential backlash from that. of course, talking about Plymouth and the guidance, that is causing problems just like up in North Yorkshire. Despite having 2 years to get familiar with it, they're using that as an excuse to shut down shop. Fortunately, no other firearms licensing department are using that excuse. And funnily enough, whilst I criticise them for shutting down over COVID, Hampshire and Thames Valley were very sort of ahead of the curve with that new licensing. They had brought in a lot of those new steps very, very early on, once the draft new guidance had been submitted. And I think a lot of the sensible firearms licensing departments have already done that. They've seen the writing on the wall, right, this is what we're going to have to issue certificates by in the future. So why don't we start doing it now? And when we have to do it, we'll already be doing it. So that, I don't think we're going to see any more prohibition or any more delays. People are getting used to it, they're more aware of it, again, more in the swing of it, so it should just become a matter of routine. The only downside to that going forward is that there are additional criteria for people to meet the necessary bars to get your application. They really have raised the bar or defined the bar much higher within that new guidance. So that's going to just cause ongoing problems. So yeah, in terms of things getting better for in 2022, I really think it only can. I really don't hope. I really hope I don't eat my words on that. Because the last 2 years, it's, like 2021 was like, hold my beer 2020. It's, you always think, this is as bad as it can get, and then it gets even worse. So I think we are going to ease up. I think things are going to get better. I think applications are going to get processed, or more applications will get processed. Hopefully mine will be within that. One can only dream, right? So yeah, I don't want to be completely negative about it, and I think on review, when you remove all the licensing issues that we've had, when you remove the likes of sort of Plymouth as a big effect, we have seen some real positives in this last year, which are going to only, I hope, continue into 2022, and that is, well, one of the biggest ones is let's say more archaic or mature organisations, namely BASC. And whilst I love to slate them, whilst I love to keep them honest, credit where credit is due, and I've never shied away from giving them credit where it's due. They've made leaps and bounds with their online presence. Firstly in 2020, but you sort of had to in 2020. That was sort of like okay, you can do it. Let's see if you can continue it. And not only have they continued what they started doing in 2020, but they've just added to it. There's so many sort of digital elements to BASC now. They're doing so many like live streams and interactive Q&As. They're doing podcasts. They're very, very hot on their sort of online news and keeping that updated, whilst the majority of their Facebook posts are still tasty game recipes, trying to inflate the game market. I would like to see that, maybe more dilute into like, firearms ownership issues here in the UK rather than just tasty game dishes. They really have ramped it up and are really continuing to go more online, and I think have a bigger presence online, because nowadays if you don't have a presence online, you don't have a presence, and I think BASC has realised that, whilst they may be sort of old school, and not just BASC, even the likes of the Countryside Alliance, the NGO, and places like that. I mean, even the NRA occasionally posts on Facebook now. They still have a YouTube channel. They do post to it, but BASC they've just absolutely exploded on it, and that's really encouraging to see this shift of the established organisations, the older school, the old school organisations, embrace social media more, be more prolific online, because it's only going to reach new people. It's only going to have a presence against the antis where the antis sort of have a strong hold over us. So, you know, controlling the narrative, if you're fighting our corner, they can't do that if they don't have a presence online. And they really are putting a lot of media out, which, you know, from first-hand experience, I know is not an easy thing to do. So it's a lot of investment, it's a lot of time, and moreover, a lot of money. And it's certainly not going on unnoticed from myself. And on the note of online, things like Reddit, Facebook, and even Discord, we are seeing the elements of sort of the shooting community grow on there. And I'm going to treat Reddit and Discord separately because sort of like everyone's on Facebook now, but there's more groups than ever on Facebook for different shooting groups and shooting communities. There's, you know, not only are there more, they're all growing. The numbers are just hitting new and new highs in terms of the membership. Loads of people have we've had sort of a barrage of new people on the English shooting group. If you're not in that, please go and check that out. Yeah, there's just a huge influx of new members on there recently, which is great to see. And specifically on Reddit and Discord, they're much younger platforms. Not just in the age of the platforms themselves, but in terms of the demographic that's on them, much younger, especially Discord. So to see communities growing on there, to see a UK shooting presence on there is just absolutely fantastic, because we need the new blood. We need the younger shooters to help grow this sport, to protect it and take it into the future. So to see all those elements growing is very, it is confidence inspiring that people are still entering the sport. Interest is up, interest is growing, and within the younger shooters or younger people. I do have to say younger people now. I can't class myself as a young person, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just fantastic to see. So a lot of silver linings. It has been a shit year. We haven't even gone over the other bits that you've probably even just forgotten about by now from the past year. So yeah, not all doom and gloom. And yes, I think overall 2022 is going to get better. One can only hope. But yeah, let's see what you guys are talking. As I said, this is an interactive stream, so you do have any questions or comments, put them in the chat box. I'll try and answer any questions as I go through. Sorry if I do miss out. It's not personal. And also, don't forget to like. It's free. It takes 2 seconds. It's right there. Like literally, just hit it. Just go on. What should we do? Like I stopped doing this for a while because, well, one of the times I offered to 3D print a gun if we hit 100 likes, and yeah, then the police came round. Yeah, didn't mention about that, did I? That was an interesting experience. I might as well. So yeah, just off the back of that, basically my local neighbourhood police group, whatever, they had an anonymous report, i.e. Hampshire Firearms. Yeah, we're concerned about 3D printing guns. Needless to say, I think they left with their tail between their legs when I said, well, hang on a minute. I think I picked up my final year project and said, like, look, you know, I went to university, studied electronic and electrical engineering, and my final year project was sort of a bleeding edge additive sort of manufacturing for waveguides, for microwave waveguides, working in like the 125 gigahertz range. And it's like, I'm not just some nutter in their bedroom 3D printing guns. Also happen to co-own a company that 3D prints and specializes in 3D printing firearm accessories. So they were like, oh, okay. And they said, so it's not really that much of a step to say that, you know, we're gonna 3D print a gun at some point. Needless to say that it was mentioned, I think, even in Connor's RFD interview, that he'd be 3D printing guns. So yeah, they were a bit like, okay. And I'm like, look, I get it. Someone goes out online and says they're going to start 3D printing guns. As the police, you probably want to investigate that, chat about that just to make sure. I mean, turning up at my home, what, half an hour before the live stream, that's a little bit coincidental if I'm going to be completely honest. But fortunately, that was the first time that we did it in the new unit, so I wasn't there. Funny how things like that work out. But yeah, you know, and they ended up coming back. We had a bit of a chat. It was all good. And I think they were just like, okay, yeah, you haven't got like some 3D printer farm knocking out illegal firearms. So yes, that's what happened. I think one of the times that I said if we hit 100 likes, we'd do something. And I'm not reneging on that. I will. Like, what is the correct legal phrase to put this again? Of course, I don't have the authority to manufacture a firearm, so I will have to find somebody else that legally can. But I will document the process of legally 3D printing a firearm in the UK at some point. 2022, we'll make it happen. I promise. Definitely promise. But anyway, Josh. So if I'm in a place of wanting to buy my first gun, I'm basically stuck. It depends. Do you have a certificate? I don't know. I need a bit more information to that to find out where you're stuck. Oh yes, completely managed to skip that. It was only a few days ago, but completely forgotten it already. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. A few people saying that already. Completely, you know, the last 5 days have been a bit of a blur for me. Not exactly the best. But yeah, I hope you all had a great Christmas. Got loads of shooty presents and gun-shaped presents under the tree. Who else has a New Year's resolution to join a gym? Yeah, it always gets worse at Christmas, doesn't it? Jackie, hi Callum. Do you think the new anti-protest laws make it even harder to advocate for our rights? Yes and no. Just as I was saying with like Basque and having a presence online, you don't need to have marches like you used to. I think they genuinely have a lesser effect. There was, of course, the big march around the banning. Was it the banning of handguns? You know, there were hundreds of thousands, if not like 1 million people that. No, I think it was 100,000 shooters descended on London for that. I don't think you need to. That's how back then. That's really how you made a big statement, was with a big group of people. Well, you can do that online very easily now through going viral through groups and posts and things like that. Things have changed in able to make political statements now and to sort of almost garner political sway or influence. It's all about online. Like, look at Brexit, look at the Trump US election, when he became president. Social media was like the biggest impact overall on those results. That's how they managed to get those results. Ultimately was the side that utilized social media more and used online more effectively won. It was what was able to sway it either way. So that's where I think the power is. That's why I think it's very important for the likes of Basque, the NRA, things like that. Even like the Gun Trade Association. Unfortunately, they have a very poor presence online. They are a very, very old school organisation and are less willing to come into the 21st century. But yeah, to have Basque online, I think that's what they've twigged. Well, hang on, look at the likes of Chris Packham, right? The reason they have this sort of following, the sort of sway, is because of their online presence, because of their online influence. Look at influencers in general, in YouTube, Instagram, things like that. Marketing in its entirety, and that's really what a protest ultimately is. Like, the government doesn't really necessarily worry about, you know, people marching on London. It's not a fear tactic now. They just, you know, lock up the gates of Downing Street and bunker until it's over. You know, look, we had the London riots. Like, that's, you know, in a way, that's the most violent protest that we've seen in recent years, if you could call it a protest. They're not. It doesn't have the same, you know, influence having a big group of people like that. But, you know, overall, a big protest used to be about marketing the idea. It was about bringing attention to an idea or an issue and trying to use that attention to influence change. And ultimately, that's what marketing is. It's reaching people and influencing them. And marketing has completely switched to an influencer model, you know, and I think politically, and I think in terms of protests, in terms of, you know, politically, it's all about the influencers. It's all about the online presence now. So no, I don't think in terms of limiting how people can gather and holding physical protest, it does a lot. Plus, unfortunately, I ended up going to what march was it? It was like the countryside march. And I can't remember. I don't think that was its full name, but it was either in, I think it was 2019, maybe early 2020. I think it was 2019, and there was that countryside march, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was all about, other than the countryside. But it was like 20 or 30, 40,000 people that said that they were going to come down and march for it. And it was like 1,000 people turned up, if that. And I think that's actually one of the biggest issues in terms of shooting. And it's not now the laws of preventing people to have protests and to have gatherings like that. We're our own enemy. Like, the government don't need to make it any harder, because we make it hard enough as it is for ourselves. And also, that's where online has a lot of appeal to utilize, because it's easy. It's easy to get people to like something, to share something, to comment on something, to support something, when all they have to do is click. They don't have to get on a train or jump in a car and drive down to London and walk around for a whole day. In a way, you can have just as much impact writing something online, sharing something online, or supporting something online. Look at petitions. Even petitions have gone online now, and some of those petitions are changing laws, all based online. So no, I don't think it's harder. I don't think it will make it harder. I think we have far more tools at our disposal now that sort of makes that approach obsolete in a way. Happy Coke Zero cures COVID. You heard it here first. Oh, it definitely doesn't cure it. I can tell you that. It just suppresses the pain in more ways than one. It's just like, oh, why don't I have an FAC? Oh, who needs a gun anyway? Anyway, I'm trying to catch up with all of your comments. I'm sorry if I'm missing any. Talk about the less than lethal markers. Don't know what you mean about that. English shooting not monitored though. I don't know what you mean about monitor. I'm so out of sync. Lost my ticket 2.5 years ago just for talking about it. Are you talking about... you're talking about the 3D printing, I'm guessing. See, I've been talking... This was one of the things when the police came round about that. I was like, I've been talking about 3D printing guns on the channel for years. And I said to them, like, have you... Like, it wasn't as bad as a, do you know who I am? I'm really not that sort of person, unless, unless I can get entrance to a VIP area of, like, the British Shooting Show. Then that works for me. But they came round and I was like, I've been talking about this for years. Like, all you had to do is go on the channel and see that, you know, not only am I quite educated on this subject, I'm very experienced on it. And they were like, oh no, we didn't want to look at your channel for you know, for fear of influencing us, or, you know, skewing. We wanted to come and get a face-to-face, you know, completely unbiased view of you. And I mean, they haven't come back. Either that's a really good thing or a really bad thing. They've sent it up the chain now. But yeah, I guess that's what you mean, Dudley. Not monitored though. This channel is heavily monitored. Like, everyone that's commenting right now and watching, so many watch lists. I just hope you know that. Just you're in with me now. Like, I'm taking you all down with me. This channel is 100% monitored. The things that have been like brought up in front of me, or been brought up, not just the whole 3D printing thing, but in terms of not that I've been confronted about, that have been mentioned, and it's like it's been like a 30-second segment of like a 2-hour live stream, and like, I'm like genuinely convinced either I don't know, either in their spare time, which I think would be, I don't know if that's like mildly terrifying or actually really cool, but either in their spare time or as part of their job, somebody's been instructed to from either Hampshire Constabulary or Hampshire Firearms Licensing to like watch every single video that gets put out on this channel. At this point, it honestly wouldn't surprise me that, again, the things that have been brought up before, the only way they would be able to know about these certain things is if somebody was watching every single second of every bit of footage that was put out. And I just think, what an utter waste of time, right? You know, of course, right? I lost the FAC, right? So they could say there's maybe a public interest to monitor that, but I don't have a criminal record. I've never been, my handling of firearms has never been in question. None of my clubs have ever questioned my safety or my attitude towards firearms. I've never, you know, I think my behaviour in a way has, no one's perfect, but compared to the other things that I've seen out online, I think it's overall pretty good. So if that is what's happened, if somebody is, as part of their job within the police, watching every single bit of footage, think about the public fund waste there, the hours of their time on public dime, sifting through channels, sifting through a channel which is predominantly watched by people with firearm certificates. And this is, again, what just blew my mind when they started labeling it a forum of extremism. I'm like, but it's predominantly watched by firearm certificate holders. So you're inherently calling firearm certificate holders extremists. And it's like, that's not on me. Like, if you've given out certificates to extremists, like, don't look at me, don't blame me. Hello. You do know that you're more likely to be seen crawling in at that angle. I think that went unnoticed. I don't know. You could just walk in. That's making a far bigger deal than it. Literally, my fiance has just come in, hands and knees on the floor to grab a laptop charger. And there was me thinking I was just about to get lucky. So yeah, it's like form of extremism watched predominantly by certificate holders that you've given the certificates to. Like, something's not adding up there. And then seem to be spending a significant amount of time looking at every single post and every single video and every single live stream that I do. It's like, you know, maybe if you'd have put 10%, I know it was a different county, but, or let's phrase it differently. If Devon and Cornwall had put 10% of the time reviewing the media that a certain previous certificate holder was putting out there online, compared to what Hampshire review of mine, there'd probably be a few more alive people in Plymouth today. Moving on. It's the end of the year. I'm not even drinking. Matthew, good evening. Callum, thanks for your email referring UKPSA course booked on the March course. Happy New Year. Thanks very much, Matt, for getting booked on there. I did see that you'd got booked on, so good to see. And I was actually going to bring that up for the stream. So nice little segue. UKPSA safety courses, another thing to look forward to in 2022. Maglow's going to be doing more safety courses than ever. We at the bare minimum want to do one at least once a month. We're blocking out January at the moment because we don't know if there's going to be any restrictions. If it looks early on that there's not, we will try and get some. If a range is available to us, we will try and get a safety course booked maybe for the end of January. But we already have dates for February and March. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's a very practical thing. Just if you're not interested in practical, then why are you watching this channel? Why are you even interested in shooting? Like, practical is the pinnacle of shooting sports. No argument about it. It combines all elements of shooting. Like, it's the pinnacle. Anyway, half the people leave the stream. So to shoot in IPSC, to shoot a level 2 match or above within IPSC, you need a safety course. You need to complete a safety course, and you need to have a competition license. It's compulsory. There's no way around it. And there has been, and actually this is another point of why things are looking up in 2022, because safety courses are continuously oversubscribed. We've noticed this, and we want to do as much as possible to sort of alleviate that, because people having safety courses that are oversubscribed says a lot of positive things. Not only, it's only really new shooters or new people to practical that are doing their safety courses, because the older boys, the more experienced, well, to be in competition, to be doing the matches, to be doing a lot of practical, you need to have it anyway, so they've already got it. So being oversubscribed for safety courses says a lot of new people are coming into the sport of practical shooting, but more importantly, want to get into competition, because that's why you do a safety course. Yes, I say all the time, it's a great experience day. You will learn a lot from it. You will come away from it as a much better shooter, hopefully, if the instructor's doing the right job. But fundamentally, it's there to get you into competition and to tick that box and make you competition ready. So to see the oversubscribed, it's great, but also it's like frustrating for someone like me that not only wants to see the sport grow, but also wants to see practical grow, because I really think it's where we're heading. It's in terms of drawing new blood into the sport. It's the sort of easiest discipline to sell overall. So we're going to try and do at least one safety course a month. Try and clear this backlog of people that want to get their safety courses, and we have dates available at the moment in February and March. I'll bring up the Magload page. It's $179.99. They are 12 people courses with 2 instructors. So excuse me. it's 6 on 1. That's the only way that you can handle Connors, trust me. So it's 6 on 1, so 6 to 1 ratio with an instructor. And it's a whole full day on the range. Don't fail me now, Coke. So yes, $179.99. This includes your sub fee, so I think it's like 15 quid actually goes off to the UKPSA, and helps them for development for the sport and helps them grow. Of course, we do have other costs and range rental and things like that, so it's not like we're going out there and buying Porsches out off of this on us. So generally it was bought well before we started doing long gun safety courses. So we've got 2 dates. We've got the 6th of February and the 26th of March available. How are numbers? We've got 9 left on the 6th of February, and we've got 10 left on the 26th of March. I believe the 6th is actually on a Sunday. We only usually do the Saturdays because it's all done, as you can see, in Basingstoke. It's at the KFC Quarry Range. So if you're a KFC member, certainly it's the easiest way to get into the UKPSA route of shooting and get into those higher level matches. And there's a bit more detail about what you will cover, what you will go through, and it's Connor's, in terms of when it's a mag load safety course, it will be Connor's there. The other instructor that was helping out on the other week was Dom, fantastic instructor, really good guy. So you'll either end up with, I think it will be Dom or Connors, but Connors will be there. He is sort of the main instructor of the day. So if you want to come down and meet Connors, and be shouted at by him for a full day for 180 quid, then this is your option. And of course, it gets you all your competition license. You can then go off and compete in the higher level matches. I'm usually floating about as well. Anybody that was on the previous safety course, you would have seen me there briefly, but I tend to go and shoot the matches while Connors runs the safety courses. Like, someone's got to do it, right? To be honest, I don't know what much help I would be. I'm not a qualified instructor. I could assist in terms of just like putting up targets and, I don't know, making coffee. But personally, I'd rather be shooting the matches. Oh, and David, if you're about, where are the results for the speed stills KFC? I know you had issues with, it was unfortunately my squad that got 2 stages mixed up, and I know there were people that haven't got their scores in yet, but the people that haven't bothered to send you their scores, just forget about them, because they're obviously not that bothered. But where's this, like, you can make it work. Get the scores out there. I want to see how. I don't compete just for the fun of it. Really, I don't. I'm not competitive at all, honest. But yeah, so long gun safety course on Magload. So if you go to magload.co.uk, I think you've touched in the type in the search bar safety course, it will come up, or I think it's under accessories as a shop option. Nothing else really to put it on. Maybe we should have a course and training page. That would make a lot more sense. Von Harzberg, which political party is most pro-gun in the United Kingdom? These sort of questions, I think, always have to be split between two. Between the main parties and overall all of the different parties, because there's loads that like don't really get a lot of coverage. Between the main 3 parties, I know there's this huge debate because more restrictions have actually come in under the Conservatives, but it's about who was in power during Dunblane and Hungerford, and there's many other factors in terms of what each party stands for. The most out of the top 3, which is, or the main 3, which is Conservatives, Labour and Liberal Democrats, unless the Liberal Democrats will be taken over or overtaken by another party now, I don't know. They're not doing particularly well. Well, neither are the Conservatives, but anyway. The Conservatives are inherently the most pro-gun. I think there are more pro-gun MPs, certainly outwardly pro-gun MPs from the Conservatives, and let's not, well, they're all like, even Labour's, they're all like Oxbridge and Eton boys, but like you go online and you can find more pictures of a Conservative handling a firearm or out in the field, or shooting at pheasants, so on and so forth, than you can Labour MPs. So overall Conservatives are a lot more pro-gun. Out of all the parties though, it is by far the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party, I think, is the only one that actually has in its manifesto about reducing the restrictions around firearms in the UK. So if they were ever to get into power, it would completely change things on so many levels. Hi Callum, with the women's protests this year, do you think we will see a here we go. Right. Trying so hard not to get in trouble. I saw it. I saw the word. I saw the phrase. With the women's protest this year, do you think we will see a variation in self-defense laws here in the UK, as using anything for self-defense is illegal? Okay, so the facts of it: self-defense is not illegal here in the UK. You are allowed to defend yourself. You are allowed to defend yourself with a firearm. That is completely legal. What is illegal is owning something for the purpose of self-defense. You know, and it's like, look, I've got, and we'll talk about this in a minute, for anyone interested in action air and the like. Look, I've got an old Bowie, right? It's blunt as hell. Well, it's got actually more of an edge than I thought it did, so remember that for future. It's pretty blunt though. So I've got an old Bowie, right? Why do I have that? Right, I don't hunt a lot. I'm sort of into my knives, but it's, you know, a reasonably sized knife. Why do I have it? Well, it was my granddad's, right? I remember throwing this into tree stumps when I was a little kid with him down the bottom of the garden. Yes, he was that sort of granddad, and was also the granddad that got me into shooting. So you can sort of see how that ties in nicely. So perfectly legal for me to own, even though it is a fairly large knife. At the moment that I declare that and I absolutely don't, because it's blunt as hell and actually has a rounded off tip. But if I was to say, actually, I have that there for the purpose of self-defense, that becomes an offensive weapon and becomes illegal. I can have that confiscated and I can be prosecuted for having an offensive weapon. But it's quite an obvious statement with a knife. But literally anything on this shelf, it's, you know, define what a weapon is. Like, I could pick up this camera lens and say, I have this here for self-defense because I'm going to, if someone breaks into my house, I'm going to clap them over the head with it, or yeet it. Actually, I might have to put that in my bedside table. So it's not the object itself. It's the purpose. Anything can be used. Anything can be used to defend yourself, and you could have anything for that purpose. It's the latter that will get you into trouble. So you take firearms. There are many lawful reasons for having firearms: hunting, pest control, target sports, things, collecting, and things like that. All perfectly legal. So you are in legal possession or lawful possession of those firearms. If somebody breaks into your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is obviously the time that most gun owners are doing their gun cleaning. I don't know, it's about the way the stars are in the sky and the orientation of the moon and the light hitting the inside of the barrels. Personally, that's when I always found the best time to clean them. But, you know, you're there 2 o'clock in the morning, you've got your guns out, giving them a good clean, someone breaks into the house, you know, they're armed with a knife, or, you know, basically you fear for your life. You know, they put you into a position where you fear for your life, and you feel that you have no option than to quickly reassemble that gun and shoot them to prevent the loss of your life or somebody's life in the house. That is completely lawful. But having that gun for that purpose, not, you know, you are in lawful possession because you don't have it for that purpose. You have it for sport shooting, you have it for hunting, for pest control. It just happened to be in that moment, you ended up using it for that purpose. It's why sort of baseball bats are always a funny, a sort of a funny interest in a sort of a funny area of our law. Because you go onto Amazon, right? Like the amount of baseball bats sold versus baseballs and baseball gloves, significant disproportion there. You would think actually you would sell more baseballs than you would baseball bats. The sale of baseball bats to baseballs far exceeds, right? Because that's what most people go and buy. Wanting to defend yourself isn't something new. And even in the UK, I like one of my exes, their father, they had a baseball bat by the side of their bed. A really bad idea, Because in the situation that you have to use that baseball bat, where do you explain you got it from? Like, yes, I found somebody in my bedroom in the middle of the night and just a wild baseball bat appeared. And then you have to explain to a police officer, or you have to explain to the court, that you had that baseball bat by the side of your bed for the purpose of self-defense, therefore it was an offensive weapon. You might be legal in using it in the circumstance, but they will still charge you for the sort of almost premeditation or the you being in possession of an offensive weapon. That's what you're admitting to. And I've quoted it before. There was a TV program where they got pulled over in their car. They found a baseball bat, and the police found a baseball bat in the boot. And they were like, "What's this for?" And they were like, "Protection." And the police were like, "Oh." Like, even the police were like, all you had to say was that you've been playing baseball today, but you've literally just told us that you've got it for self-defense. It's an offensive weapon. Get in the back of the van. So yeah, it's a very, very fine line here in the UK, and unfortunately, it makes, in those sorts of situations. Fortunately, I've never been in a situation where I've had to. I've really feared for my life. I've been in situations where I've had to defend myself, but never where I thought, I was fighting for my life. And I can only imagine in those situations, you don't have a lot of time to think, and you are just going to do what is instinctive. And unfortunately, the way our laws are very, very complex and can be very grey in areas, that actually puts the innocent party, the defender, on the back foot, because it's like, well, what can I actually do here? And what I've said is, in the past, is in terms of changing any laws and personally, I would just like further clarity, or like just far more common sense, like, just, I don't know, it could end up being a very slippery slope. You say, oh yeah, you can just have anything for the purpose of self-defense. Like, I don't know. I think at the bare minimum, there needs to be more clarity on exactly what you can and can't do. Not leave it down to potential interpretation, or down to the feelings of a jury. Although, funnily enough, there's a quote of a judge, and I think it's something along the lines of, if you break into a gun owner's house, don't, and this was a UK judge, if you break into a gun owner's home in the UK, don't be surprised when they shoot you. So I think some judges do completely understand it. They're like, look, this is what the law is, but we all know this is where everybody operates. It's just, it's infuriating. There's this, again, everyone, I've seen it with firearms licensing departments and RFDs, right? Most RFDs will have, for lack of better words, guns that are easily accessible. And there's always this, I've seen it, and there's multiple examples. I'm not going to start naming names and really drawing it out, but there's this, what's that for? Why is that like that? And they were like, do you really want me to answer it? And the police don't want, armed criminals, or they don't want people breaking into gun shops and making off with stuff. And there's just this sort of unsaid agreement that it's like, yeah, we know why you have those speed loaders, or that magazine there, and that gun within easy to reach, and things like that. You don't have to say it, but again, it's like one of these, we know why, but if you tell us, we'll arrest you, or we'll take away your RFD. It's really odd, but there's this sort of, again, this unsaid agreement where it's like the police would rather be, the police would rather you be asking for an ambulance first than, asking for a recovery of a firearm, and that's genuinely their take of it, because it's, that's the truth of it, isn't it? Anyway, that's a lot of backstory to it. This is why we don't get onto topics of self-defense here, mainly because I have to explain and caveat things to the nth degree in case somebody tries to take anything out of context. So do we think we will see a variation in self-defense laws? No, unfortunately. I thought the same. I thought, well, hang on a minute. There seems to be this real draw about women being scared to go out at night, wanting to feel safer. Instead of going for something which I think is more logical about how could women equip themselves or prepare themselves for all eventualities, or to be able to better deal with all eventualities. You started hearing stuff like, well, what we should do is ban men from going out at certain times. We should have a male curfew. I'm like, oh, you're like so close to like heading in the right direction there, and it's like, no, just like lock down men for the whole evening, every evening. They shouldn't be allowed outside. It's like the same logic of, we should just cut every guy's penis off and then there'd be no rapes, right? That's how it works. Almost like, banning guns when criminals use them. But yeah, do I think we will see change? No. Do I think there's actually more public support for it? Absolutely. I think every year that goes past, we do see more and more. I think the best word is realization. A lot of people going, oh yeah, like the police aren't always there to help us. The police can't be there within 30 seconds. And a lot of the nastiest stuff you can imagine that happens to people happens in a matter of seconds. So I think overall more public support is being gained. Maybe that's why we're seeing, like them wanting to ban crossbows, which we will get onto. Offensive weapon only applies in a public place, thus you can keep legally held weapon for the purpose of self-defense in a private place. Okay. I don't know. I'd like to get that actually checked out. Maybe there's another set of laws. I don't know, but is a car a public place? Like, you start getting, if they can apply it to the inside of a car, can they apply it to the inside of a home? Because yes, there's like, I know the whole thing is about carrying in a public place, but could they not use well, if you have it for this purpose, you can take it out into the public and use it? I don't know, but that I've never actually had anybody counter it with that point before. It would be interesting to look into that more. But first off, it is just a lot easier not having anything for that purpose. I think the best way, I can't remember who it was. It's not about having things specifically. Obviously, like in America, fill your house with things to defend yourself to your heart's content. But I saw something, it was UK specific, and it was like, don't have things for the purpose of self-defense, but know where things are that you could use. And I think that's the difference. If that's something that really does concern you or worry you, and helps you sleep at night, know where things are. And, it's like, you talk about what offensive weapons are. Like, a bloody lamp stand could be an offensive weapon. But you could effectively fend off somebody with a lamp stand. At the end of the day, it is like a big club. So it's things like that. It's having the forethought. It's almost like, and this is why I do find it so weird, because for me it's like, it's just logical. You think of the 3 emergency services. I know there are more, but let's say the main 3. You're talking about health, you're talking about fire, you're talking about crime, and the first 2, it is like instinctively drummed into you from a young age to prepare for, right? Have a first aid kit, know about first aid, and have basic first aid provisions at home, know how to stem bleeding, know about resuscitation, just things like that. Fire, right? It gets drummed into you. Know where your escape routes are. Make sure that if you've locked your door at night, the keys are easily accessible, because when your house is filled up with smoke or fire, you're not going to want to be rummaging through drawers and going through coat pockets and things like that. Even knowing where like ladders are in the garden or shed or garage, so that if somebody isn't, somebody within your house is not able to jump out of window, you can go and get a ladder. Test your smoke alarms, test that. But it's just that you never hear this about being prepared for crime. In the eventuality, it's almost like, well, that doesn't happen. Well, it quite obviously does. Yes, they talk about, lock your windows, lock your doors, don't become a target in that way, things on show from outside. But in terms of being prepared, if somebody is trying to enter your home, if somebody is trying to attack you in your home, there's never any guidance about that. Oh, apart from, what is it? Hide, run, hide, hope for the best. I think that was the general premises of the guidance given out in a terrorist attack. So I don't know, if you're thinking about the health aspect or the first aid aspect, you're talking about the fire aspect, is it not just logical that you think about what you could do, even not in an offensive manner? Which room is the most secure? Which room? I mean, because let's be real, and I've said this before, like, we've seen these smash and grab robberies, and they are brutally violent robberies, where they put a brick through the back window, storm inside of the house, tie everybody up, torture people until they get the codes to the safe, this, that, and the other, and then they leave. If 5 or 6 guys burst through the back of my door, the rear doors, I'll probably have a lot more to worry about. Or it'd just be a really good night. Who knows? If 5 guys end up, making way into my home, like, I'm like, what am I going to do, right? It's just like the only real thing to do in that scenario is get somewhere, lock a door, and barricade yourself in, and protect yourself. So thinking about which room you would do that in, like, which is your safe room effectively, how you would barricade the door, do you have certain locks installed, all things like this. And actually, for the rich and famous, I think this is more of an issue, and certainly more prevalent. Like, there is an industry here in the UK of building safe rooms and panic rooms and sort of safe spaces and things like that. Should your everyday Joes be doing that as well? For the same reason that you have a fire alarm, the same reason that you have a first aid kit. Do you have an improved lock on your bedroom door? Do you have heavier, more sturdy lamp stands? I don't know. It's, again, I've said many times, it feels illegal talking about that sort of stuff, and I honestly don't know why. It's, you're talking in these situations where people are coming in to do you significant harm, where you're legally entitled to use force in your defense, but discussing it and pre-thinking about it, despite cases of it rising, is just like, oh no, you can't be doing that. Certainly not where guns are involved. So anyway, we don't. I mean, it's the end of the year. I'm allowed to have like a self-defense heavy live stream at least once a year, right? When Callum orders a delivery from 5 guys and they come round the back door, as long as they've got a milkshake and leave me creamy. Will the UK ever get CCW? It already does. Northern Ireland. Someone from Northern Ireland might need to correct me on this. I know 100% that you can have a handgun for the purpose of self-defense. I believe you can conceal carry in Northern Ireland with that handgun. So with under that assumption and that belief, the UK already does have concealed carry. Will it get extended to Scotland, England, and Wales? I think in the near future, unlikely. Again, talking about public support growing in the area of self-defense, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibilities. Of course, it would be, you know, I think beneficial for people to be able to discuss it freer, to have the discussion about it, to start the conversation without fear of, you know, backlash or any sort of retribution from firearms licensing departments. Would, you know, maybe we would be able to actually sit down like adults and see where everyone's feelings was about it, and have a adult conversation, and you know, maybe we'd be surprised about where it leads. But I would never say never, but I think it's certainly a more medium long term thing if it is ever going to happen. People confirming, yeah, Northern Ireland you can have CCW, not the general public. That, again, from what I've heard, I think I've spoken to Mike Lindsay about it. The general public, from my belief, the general public can, but it's only under very specific circumstances where there is a demonstrable threat to that individual, and my belief was this was actually more for off-duty police officers rather than general members of the public. But general members of the public can do it if they can demonstrate a significant threat towards them, giving them the justification for why they need it. I can take or leave Wendy's, but Five Guys is the best. Five Guys is good, but personally, it's overpriced for what it is. Like, seriously, I do feel a little bit shafted every time I go into that place. It's like, yeah, it was good, but that wasn't 40 quid's good. Like, that's what, like, I go in there with Holly, and, well, when she ate meat, she is a veggie now, unfortunately, lost soul. And it would be like 35, 40 quid for 2 burgers and drinks and fries. I'm like, whereas if you're ever in the south, Seven Bone, 100%. I think it's around the same price as Five Guys, if not a little cheaper. There's one in Portsmouth, there's 2 in Southampton, 1 in Camberley. There's a few around the south. Seven Bone, 100% go and visit. It's worth the trip. What do I normally have? I think it's the mushroom truffle burger and their wings. Always got to have wings. I'm an absolute wing fiend. So their Rasta wings, oh, so good. And their milkshakes. If you do ever go to Seven Bone, have one of their milkshakes. Banoffee or salted caramel. Oh, and they're proper thick milkshakes. Did I have the rant last week or the week before about thin milkshakes on the stream? I don't know. Connors and Paul definitely got the brunt of that the other day in the office when I was served. Was it the office? Or out somewhere? I don't know. Someone served me a thin milkshake. That's not how you get on in my good books. Milkshakes should strain you as you suck. Like, there should be like, you know, you should get, if you don't get that sound when you're sucking on a milkshake, not a proper milkshake. And Seven Bone know how to do a proper milkshake. Anyway, Happy Seven Bone is awesome. Good, a man of culture too, I see. Shake Shack, yes, but you don't know what you're talking about unless you've had a Shake Shack in New York, or the original Shake Shack. The original in the park next to the Flatiron. I can't remember what the park's called. I mean, the Covent Garden Shake Shack is very, very good. But just like a lot of the things that make their way over from America, it's always better in America. Although I'm praying on someone to bring in Buffalo Wild Wings. Like, please, can someone bring that franchise over here? Anyway, this is a shooting live stream. If you are enjoying it, food or shooting or otherwise, self-defense, whatever, hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We do this every single week, even when I'm recovering from COVID. And that's the last of the Coke, so I will slowly begin to die. In-N-Out burger. I do like an In-N-Out burger as well, although I'm not so au fait with their secret menu. Oh, we've started a royal burger chat now. Food and shooting go hand in hand. And I say this with a pinch of salt. Drinking. Like, there's such a synergy between shooting and drinking. Obviously, one should definitely only be done before the other. And we all know which that one is. But yeah, it's like, you good, range day and a drink and a burger. Can't go wrong. Buffalo Wild Wings is my place. Good man. My favourite food, I think I've said this before, if I was on death row, my last meal would be wings of some sort. That is, I think it's milkshake, cookies, and chicken wings. I would die happy. Just and a cookie to wash it all down with. Literally my perfect trifecta of food right there. And Buffalo Wild Wings, like, oh, I can never do it justice. Anyway, back onto shooting. Of course, there is a whole video about it that was put on air about an hour before the stream started, all around crossbows. I'm not going to go into it too much because, of course, there is a whole video on it. But we are seeing the review of our crossbow laws here in the UK. Again, in that video, I talk about what the laws currently are. I come at it from the angle of the proposal that people think, well, some people seem to think that we're going to see licensing and why licensing just wouldn't work based on the experience that we've had with the Scottish airgun licensing. But of course, the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, has ordered a review of crossbow laws here after the Windsor Castle incident. Of course, a 19-year-old loon ended up scaling a fence with a crossbow intending to assassinate the Queen. Like, he's just a loon, just thinking that you could do that. Like, yeah, I'm just going to hop the fence of Windsor Castle and nobody's going to notice. So yeah, anyway, they apprehended him, nobody was hurt, but now it's like, oh, he had a crossbow, he had something with a trigger, we must bring in new laws to stop this in future. But like, I'm sorry, you could ban everything in existence. Apart from banning a bit of rope that he used to scale the fence, he still could have done it. Like, I'm sorry, the Queen at her age, God bless her, literally. And if somebody even unarmed got into a room with her, she's not going to put up much of a fight, is she? Like, let's be honest. Like, he didn't need a crossbow. To be honest, a slightly pointy toothpick at this stage could see the end of the monarch, right? And this is like, everyone's now obsessed about crossbows. And it's like, he could have had anything. He could have had a rolling pin, right? He gets in a room with her alone and wants to assassinate her. Like, a not very breathable pillow. Like, bye-bye Queenie. Like, that is just the reality of the situation. But once again, rather than that somebody has reached the sort of mental imbalance point of going off and wanting to assassinate the Queen, rather than looking at that as the issue, it's like, oh, well, we better look at crossbow laws, even though a single bolt wasn't fired from that crossbow. But yeah, go and check that video out. Something that I didn't really touch on in that video is, whilst I touched on the surveys, so I was doing survey says, whilst I touched on the poll that I put out on the channel, and I'm going to bring that up because actually a number of you did vote on that, so really appreciate that, and the figures are very similar to what were actually shown in the video. but how do you like? YouTube can just be so backwards sometimes. So I have to actually show you from the back end. Oh, community tab. There we go. This is what we're looking for. So yeah, I put out this poll just to get what you guys were thinking, and this is what I more want to touch on, is what personally I think is going to happen. So we had 500 of you people of you vote, so really appreciate that. I do want to do stuff like this more. I want to incorporate more polls and input into the videos. It is one of my New Year's resolutions. I know this is like this crossbow video is the first video that's dedicated video that's gone out for a while on the channel. I want to get back to at least one video a week and one live stream a week, and try and get more content out for you guys. Now that obviously more settled in the home and the new unit, and things are just a bit more normal for me. But yeah, you're not a very optimistic bunch, are you? Like 41% crossbows will be licensed, 30% total ban incoming, 29% nothing will be done. So 71% of people think, or of you guys that voted, think that we will get some further legislation. So yeah, you guys think something is coming. I don't blame you, but I'm gonna go out there and after making that video and editing it and thinking, like when I'm editing videos, there's always like a million things. Oh, I wish I could have said that in the video, or actually that would have been a good point to make. And I think that actually might just be a bit of posturing from Priti Patel here, right? And in the same way that she used this new guidance, like this, and I think looking at it from a different angle, whilst it was, you know, she was selling us on this idea of this new firearms guidance, you know, as a result of Plymouth, which we know is all bullshit. Well, perhaps, like, well, she knows it's bullshit, but perhaps it was deliberate to fend off all the people calling for further restrictions. Here we have something we were going to bring in anyway, so instead of having to bring in even more restrictions, we just fob them off with something that we were going to do anyway. Maybe there was a bit of that going on with the guidance. I don't know, maybe I'm giving her too much credit. So, you know, again, maybe as a conservative, she's going, well, actually, like, not all guns are bad, the restrictions that we already have are good, I'll try and fend this off that everyone's happy. And perhaps just her coming out and saying that she's going to review the crossbow laws, perhaps her coming out and saying that a review will take place, is enough to sort of quell the thirst of the raging antis that just want everything with a trigger and that fires something vaguely pointy completely banned. So, I don't know, Priti might be playing a very clever game. Like, look, someone's just almost assassinated the Queen with one of these. There's going to be calls to do something about it. We don't really need to, but we just say we'll have a look at it. We just review it, because at the moment that's all they've said. Like, they haven't said they're going to change it. There's not a public consultation. There's not, you know, any drafts of new legislation or laws at this point. I know it's very, very early days, but it's just a review. Like, them just having a look at it, is that necessarily going to lead to more legislation? Yes, it's technically the first step. I don't know. So I'm going to sit on the optimistic side of the fence and say that I think nothing will be done. And again, because it just doesn't make particular sense. Yes, we're talking about the Queen here. That does raise the stakes significantly. But we go back to this petition. Excuse me. Oh no, I've gone again. 2 seconds. Oh, fuck off, COVID. There we go. Anyway, anyone want to bring me Coke Zero? I promise I won't cough in you. So this petition, right? This was released or started after a person's husband was killed by their sort of disgruntled neighbour. Now, obviously, a very passionate, a very you know, that they're not. It's not necessarily coming from the most logical point of view here. You know, your partner's been killed. You've also that the person that started the petition was also shot with a crossbow and survived. Like, they're coming from a very emotional stance, and like, you know, if that's what you feel passionate about, if that's what you think should be done, then go and do it. 42,000 signatures, so not the largest response from it, but interestingly, and I did quote this in the video, but the bit I want to get onto, which wasn't actually included in the video in the end, so the government just basically said, look, we've already got the legislation and has no plans to legislate further at this time. Now, what's interesting is, like, this is the full response to it, and what I want to get to is this last one, which sort of extends on that general statement. Whilst it is shocking and tragic when incidents like this, where crossbows have been misused, these instances are fortunately very rare. The vast majorities of those using crossbows do so safely and responsibly. At the present time, we believe the laws around crossbows strike the correct balance between protecting the public and also allowing people to own and use crossbows for legitimate activities. In light of this, we have no current plans to introduce further legislation relating to crossbows. So again, it's with the Queen being involved, is that enough for them to go, oh, we really need to do something? But this is the Queen, this is the royal family, the VIPs. These sorts of people are inherently always under attack, right? There's always like intruders, there's always people out there to get them. That's why they have armed guards around them. However, as fair or unfair you may think that is, that's another completely different discussion and topic. But you know, their security is, or the risk of them being attacked is so high that they have continuous armed people around them. I mean, you know, the Queen effectively has her own private little army with great big fluffy hats. So, you know, it's just not unexpected when somebody tries to kill them, right? It's like it completely justifies why there are armed guards 24/7 around them at all times. So is that enough for the government to completely 180? And say, you know, yeah, I think it would be a very different scenario if the Queen had been shot, or a member of the royal family, or someone, just anybody within the grounds of Windsor Castle had actually been hurt or worse, killed by that guy with the crossbow. I think it would then be a very different conversation. But as nobody was, and there is just a continuous threat against the royal family and you know, MPs and government and this, that, and the other, is that enough for the government to completely 180 on a statement that they made in the 20th of May this year? I'm going to say not. I really get the feeling that Pretty is, she's posturing, right? She's just, yeah, all right, I'll say we review it. It will get people off my back. We won't do anything, and we'll carry on as normal. Because one of the stats that I found, within the last 5 years, there was something like 21 reported injuries or deaths. I don't know what the ratio between injuries and deaths were within that 21. That would actually be really interesting to know. But a reported 21 injuries or deaths from crossbows over a 5-year period. That's 4 a year, right? 4 people killed or injured by a crossbow a year. More people are shot and killed by illegally held handguns. Putting that into perspective, you know, more children drown in swimming pools than are killed or injured by crossbows. And it's when you start to put things into perspective. Yes, the lady that lost her husband due to, you know, a nutter neighbour, like, I feel for you. It is absolutely tragic. But again, you're looking at it that it's the crossbow's fault. Crossbow's fault that your husband is dead, right? Your neighbour, you know, he got to, again, that mental point where he ended up breaking into your house at the middle of the night and shot you and your husband with a crossbow. If he didn't have a crossbow, do you think he just wouldn't have come over? Right? He wouldn't have come over with a golf club. He wouldn't have come over with a baseball bat. He wouldn't have come over with a nail gun or, you know, with a can of petrol. Right? If he got to the point where he wanted to come over and kill the both of you, like, the fact of having a crossbow or not really doesn't come into it. So, you know, again, it's absolutely tragic. I can understand why she feels like it would do something, but the numbers are very small. It's no consolation to her, but the numbers are exceedingly small, and ultimately it doesn't make a difference. If you're going to start banning crossbows, you then got to ban catapults, you've got to ban bow and arrows, you've got to ban well, technically swords are already banned, but you just got to start banning everything, which is not out of the realms of possibilities. More people have died due to cows than crossbows. Surely you need a license for such high-powered cows. That's why we need to make them all into 7-bone burgers. Public would be much safer. I cough in public to make the sheep all scared. Oh dear. So, more things to look forward to. Oh no, this is it. We're going to do the review. We've gone on so many bloody tangents this evening. 2021 in review. I wanted to do this more as a sort of review to you guys, and as a reminder to some of the crazy stuff that happened this year. Firstly, I'm going to start on a high note. The only high note. The Benelli speed range. Highly anticipated, very, very popular. That's the SP. Why have I got the SP? I put in speed. I put into speed Google, and I didn't have enough time to check. Oh, come on, Benelli. Well, it is Italian. Maybe the person doing their SEO was, I don't know, sat on a beach having a espresso or something. Semi-automatic shotguns, always translate because no comprende Italiano. Their website, like whoever does their website, there we go, the speed, the M2 speed. There is of course the Nova speed as well. Highly anticipated, very, very popular. Like literally they cannot get them in fast enough at the moment. So big news within the practical world. And this was very early on in the year. I think it was around back in February. So I've managed to get my hands on one to have a bit of a fondle. Connors also has a Nova in for development and Nova Speed. So there will be a full review video of the Nova Speed coming out. And we're hoping to get maybe a longer term lease of an M2 Speed as well. So they've been out there long enough now. Of course, they're Benelli. Like they absolutely run brilliantly. Are they the gun that we thought they would be, which is the last gun that you'd need to buy, or basically wouldn't have to do any modifications? No. Categorically, both the M2 Speed and the Nova Speed still need some modifications. Probably less than any other gun before it, but they still need it. There are still improvements to be made. And actually, Connors was pretty cruel with the Nova. He said he will still reserve judgment until he's properly got down on the range with it and put more rounds through it. But he said there were a number of things that were fundamental modifications that weren't things that could have been done quite easily, that just weren't. And it was almost odd that they hadn't been done. So it's still not a perfect gun, but hey, keeps companies like Magload in business. Of course, we had the brilliant gem. I don't think I actually got. Sorry, I'm just flicking through some of the video. I didn't get the screenshot ready for it. We had the brilliant statement from the NCA of possessing illegal firearms is a crime. Gem that will be used for many years to come. That's actually a silver lining. That's not a negative. Actually, that's two positives of the year. Brilliant NCA, just absolutely possessing illegal firearms is a crime. Like, yes, like if you're gonna do it right. The Ely ammo heist. How many of you had forgotten about that? 330,000 rounds of 2.2 ammunition stolen. I still believe it was a group of like commando Americans that had boated over, hijacked the truck. This was right during the height of the ammo shortage out there. The majority, if not all of the rounds, were eventually recovered. People responsible were were apprehended. And yeah, pretty much all well that ends well with that one, that it didn't go off into the dark net. Whilst we've been going on about this for a number of years, we saw the full effect of the Offensive Weapons Act finally come into place. Of course, 2021 was when we saw all of the figures for the compensation for the Mars and Lever release. And as we well known, it was in June or July that the act came into full effect. It then became an offence to be in possession of a Mars or Lever release under Section 5. Of course, if you have Section 5 authority, then you're able to do it, or another exemption, say TV and film. But they were all handed in, and we lost them for good. Like a good 18 months, if not 2 years, from the bill receiving royal assent to actually people handing in the guns and getting their compensation. I think the total, well, the stated figure was £3.8 million. We all know that's completely wrong. We know that was far closer to 10, if not 12 million spent on that. And of course, it stopped all of the crimes committed with Mars and Lever release. But that, I think we finally saw the Offensive Weapons Act or bill come into sort of full circle or fully complete this year. Gun trader, this is really not a good year, is it? Like for certain companies and our legislation. The gun trader leak, 112,000 users leaked out into the ether. I think there was somebody the other day saying that we are seeing some sort of effect from that in terms of spam of shooters and antis using that information. So we may still not see the full effect of that for maybe a little while. But yeah, addresses, contact details, personal information of firearms owners leaked out into online. It ended up leading or resulting in the gun trader company closing down and dissolving. Now, all they did is they transferred the website to a brand new company and called it, it was like Gun Trader Limited, and the new company is like Gun Trader UK Holdings Limited or something like that. But basically enough people, and you are allowed to do this. You can sue for compensation. You can request compensation if somebody loses your data or is deemed to be, not to take all reasonable precautions. So they were facing various legal action. They were going to have to pay out serious amounts of compensation. I mean, I think we said about it, even if you say 20% of the users, you're talking 20,000 users all claim for £1,000. Like, you do the math on that, it's going to bankrupt most businesses. And they basically just had to dissolve the business and sort of start afresh. Apparently, they have made significant changes to their security measures. You would hope so. But yeah, that wasn't a particularly good period for them. A big change in terms of manufacturing of firearms and also the sale. All parts and components or I think it's all pressure bearing in the UK, components of a firearm now need to be serial numbered. So we're seeing a lot more of various friendly RFDs because we do have a fiber laser marker at Magload, and a lot of people we know are like, they're coming down to get their serial numbers put on and do it because it is now a legal requirement. Of course, we had Plymouth. That wasn't a particularly good thing. I'm sure everybody remembers that. And we also had the implementation of the new guidance, the new criteria set to issue certificates. But in terms of, say, personal or channel highlights, and there's going to be a lot of thanks to you guys for this. So the most viewed video of the channel this year was actually, it's called English Shooting. It's all about guns. We may talk about cars, watches, and sometimes even burgers on this channel. But the most watched video on the channel was actually about UK knife laws. Who would have thought that? Maybe I should call this UK knifing. That would actually be or like English knifing. That would be really, or London knifing. that would be really really apt, wouldn't it? So yeah, most watched video, 117,000 people, over 117,000 people watched that video. And also on the note of the most viewed video, it is by far the best year yet for the channel, and that is all thanks to you guys. Everybody that watches, subscribes, liked. Don't forget to like this live stream. Do it now. Comments, gets involved, answers polls, follows on Facebook, follows on Instagram. We do have an Instagram as well. It's all down to you guys. So we've had an absolutely stellar year on this channel. More subscribers than ever before in a singular year. More views than in any singular year previous, and probably I can't find the metric, but I'm pretty sure more comments as well. So that's all down to you, and I really do appreciate it. I do always try to improve the channel and do more and do better. So although, you know, haven't put out many videos in the past month, but anyway, I'm gonna get my ass into gear for next year and hopefully top all of those stats again for next year. But that really is down to you. There's no point making this content, making these videos and doing these streams if there's no one to watch. Also, a personal highlight for me, not just in terms of a video, but for the year, was actually the Welsh Mini Rifle Championship. Now, this was my favourite video that was put out on the channel. Not particularly the most watched, by a long shot, but if you want to go and see what sort of really the top of sort of UK shooting, go and check out this video. I was really happy with the edit of it, the filming of it. I think this was also my highest placing in a level 3. Oh no, it might be joint actually. No, because I finished in a level, I think 7th in division. Well, this was 7th overall. So I don't know. Anyway, I was pretty happy with my shooting, with the results. It was an incredible match. The topology of the Pro Shoot Firearms range is just absolutely incredible. There's really nothing else like it in the UK. And yeah, just this match had everything. It had running and gunning. It had some technical stages. There's Daniel desperately trying to get into a tiny boat. And it's, you know, these were more of sort of the tight technical stages, but there were the real run down ones, which you'll see in a second. But yeah, this really was the highlight for the year for me. The people running it, like, you know, good old Big Jim. This was by far my favorite stage. I liked it so much I decided to do it twice, only because I was really gamey and able to get a reshoot on it. Luckily, the reshoot fairies didn't bite me in the arse, and I ended up able to shoot it again. Funnily enough, didn't do particularly well on that stage. This was also a really decent stage as well, really tricky, quite technical, but also runny and gunny. But yeah, this was definitely a highlight for the year. For me, video wise, and also in terms of match, and just a day out shooting, or even a weekend shooting, moreover. In terms of other matches, we of course had the Southern Rifle Mini Rifle Championship, a very, very technical match. Very, very challenging. I much prefer running guns rather than tight technical, and this was a very tight technical one, but still very I'll skip it a little bit, get more into the action and get into some of the fun stages. So yeah, we haven't had a lot of like match videos this year. I still do have the Scottish Shotgun level 3 and also the Coats of Iron level 3. Two very good matches. Again, one being the Scottish being a very tight technical match, and the Coats of Iron being a little bit more run and gun and larger stages. But yeah, for me, this is why I shoot. It's the matches, certainly the practical, and both of these weekends I came away with a massive smile on my face. So yeah, big highlights for me. And actually talking about sort of things to look forward to and reasons to be positive about the future is actually because of this place, Yevely. And I can't believe I missed this off as a highlight, because they opened this year. You talk about a review of 2021. The new, well, I say the new, like it's always been there. If you watch Rack and Load, and you've seen like previous videos of him, and he looks like he's in a big like crater. I've gone down there and filmed videos with him before. Well, they've turned this into like practical bays, so they've like scooped it out and they've built walls. I've talked about it on the stream before, and it's a fantastic practical facility. I've not seen there's nothing like this in the UK. I know I said that about Lambradich and ProShoot, but this is for a different reason. Having these multiple bays, and of course they've been running speed still matches. They're going to be doing they have been doing other practical matches as well, and it's only going to get bigger and better. They're putting more and more investment into it. They've got big supporters like Ely, of course, Wreck and Load as well, giving a lot of promotion is down there, filming it. So yeah, I think this is going to become a real gem of like the practical area or sort of practical shooting in the UK. I'm planning on doing more speed stills in 2022. It's a very different type of shooting. It will frustrate the hell out of you, because a single mistake and everything goes out the window. But yeah, a real highlight of the year, seeing this place open, to see more regular matches. And Connors and I have actually discussed becoming members there. Whilst it's like a 2-hour drive, you could go and do a whole weekend shooting up there, do a lot of training, so many bays. Yeah, so yeah, real highlight again for me was those speed still matches. And of course I think that was the first outing of the battle arms. It was, because it's got the old we changed it to the Trijicon. Actually, you want to talk about 2021 and things to come in the future, the battle arms, and because they've all got them now, I think I can like lift the lid on it. Out of the top 10 mini rifle shooters in the country, I'm going to include myself in that. I don't think that's... No. Like, we had 2 level 3s and I was in the top 10 of both of them. So, yes, as one of the... and Connors as well. He was top 10 in one, had absolute shitter at 2 state. He probably would have been top 10 at the Welsh if the mag hadn't broken. So, anyway, the top 10... within the top 10 mini rifle shooters in the country, certainly the top 5... which I won't count myself within just yet, have all switched. The majority of them have switched the battle arms, and Connors and I feel fairly responsible for this. The battle arms is a fantastic platform, and what really does accentuate that is what Otto does with them, and the level of detail and experience that goes into building one and making sure that it is 100%. So the fact that and I mean, we're talking so I'll start naming names. I mean, so Jim Starley, basically, if it's not Jim, well, the first like top shooter to switch one was actually Josh Hicks. He's not done a lot of shooting the past year, but he went to a battle arms. I mean, I think it was a point where it was like him and Ben Ducker. It was one or the other, and then Jim moved. Well, I think he still does do a lot of gallery shooting, but he is doing more practical shooting. And now it just seems to either be Jim Starley or Ben Ducker that wins the mini rifle matches. Well, Jim Starley has switched over to a battle arms. Ben Ducker probably would, if he was still using his 1522. So he started with a 1522 and actually went for a CMMG converted Syscar. So he is sponsored by both Magload and also Caliber Innovations. So I don't see any reason why he would switch to a battle arms. He's already running like a CMMG converted gun. Whilst like the battle arms is just sexy as fuck. I think he will stick with that, because also he will find it cross compatibility going out to various international countries and shooting. I don't know, maybe we may see him switch over to it, but of course, being sponsored with Caliber, that platform hasn't let him down. He's been very happy with it. So yeah, I just don't think he's likely to switch away from that. We've got Tom Ellaway. He's always up there competing with them. He switched over to Battle Arms. You've got Kevin. Is it Kevin or Kelvin? I always get Mr. Leeton. I think it's Mr. Leeton. I think Kelvin Leeton or Kevin Leeton. I had the bloody scores up on the other one. Let me find. I've got everybody else's names right. Might as well. Kelvin. Kelvin Leeton. Actually, I'll just look at the results. There we go. Instead of butchering everybody else, every other names, this is a good. This is the results for the Welsh Mini Rifle Championship. So Ben Ducker, of course, he's sticking with his caliber. Jim's switching to a Battle Arms. Kelvin's switching to a Battle Arms. I think Stee is moving to a Battle Arms. I might be completely wrong with that. No, I think he might be sticking Lantac. And I know Daniel, not a name you normally see in the top 10. Love you, Daniel. King of the mid packs. I know Daniel is going to be switching to a Battle Arms, of course. I'm using one as well. Lee is sort of a Titman is a Titman out and out shooter, so I don't think he will be switching. Russell, I think he's a 1522. He'll probably stick. So I mean, there's still going to be a lot of 1522 there. But yeah, certainly within the top 5. And of course, a name that I did mention, Tom Ellaway, he is usually top 5. Not there because he had a little bit of a slip, but I won't remind him of that much. And of course, he's gone to a Battle Arms. So I think the top 5 is going to be heavily populated by Battle Arms next year. It does seem to be the gun that everybody is switching to. So either, you know, that's just because of our influence, and people are in a year's time are going to be like, why the fuck did you tell us to move to this gun? Our scores have plummeted. But yeah, I've been absolutely blown away with the platform, and looking forward to using it in many other matches going forward. And on that, 2022 plans, well, other than getting more trigger time with the Battle Arms and other guns, my plan is to shoot every level 3, obviously apart from the long barrel pistols ones, every level 3 possible. So every level 3 shotgun, every level 3 mini rifle, and also every level 3, and within the UK, I don't mean like every level 3 across the world, and every level 3 action air, because so some of you will know my love and affection for all things Glock. Unfortunately, YouTube, I'm not handling it, I'm just moving it. So I've got my Glock airsoft, which I've used for action air. I will go on record and say it is the wrong gun to use for action air. I love Glock. I love polymer framed, Walther PPQ, Glocks. Still love you. But for action air, the gun really that you want to be going for is like a 2011 high capper. So ended up picking one of these up for action air because I went and did a level 1 with XPSC. Just to remind him if he's watching, ended up beating the one and only Paul Wyburn on a couple of stages. I know you don't talk about stage wins, it's about the overall win, but I've got to take something away from that. And I say every time I come away from action air competitions and absolutely love them. So I want to do more action air 100. I'm going to do more action air. I mean, I've got like the best action air shooters in the country, sort of like, I'm not going to go as far as say like at my disposal, but you know, I'm there pretty much every day with arguably the best, if not one of the best. Sorry, Matt, if you're watching. You know, Mr. Paul Wyborn. So if I want to get better, if I want to really hone my skills on that and transfer that also onto handgun, then I'm missing a huge opportunity to sort of train and sponge off of Paul, and you know, other friends that you know shoot at XPSC as well. I just want to do more. Although you know, I went to XPSC for the first time and there was a COVID breakout. I managed somehow, despite spending a whole day in a range where I think like 10 people ended up testing positive for COVID from, I avoided that. It's my lovely fiance that ended up bringing it into the house and giving it to me. So yeah, anyway. So yeah, so for action air, switching away from the Glock and going to the high capper, absolutely bog standard gun at the moment. Don't ask me too much about it. I know nothing about action air guns, nothing about high cappers, but I'm going to learn. I will be doing videos on this in terms of the modifications and how to make it a proper competition winning gun, or capable. Obviously, the shooter needs to be capable as well. But yeah, so switch over to that. So I will be doing more action air next year. I'll be trying to do all the level 3s, action airs included. More videos, as I keep on saying. I'll be want to get back to the 1 video a week. Got a huge backlog to do. So hopefully this is the first week of a live stream and a video for the rest of the 52 weeks of next year. It is a shame that the video ended up going out the same night as the live stream. I do like to sometimes separate them, or do what Donut Operator does and do a video and immediately have the live stream. I don't know, it seemed to work for him. He's got multiple million subscribers, so he must be doing something right. And of course, we've got Kentucky to look forward to. We're going out with American shooting trips in October, out in April. I should really know. April, David, when? We're going out to Kentucky early this year. If you want to come out and join, I think there are still spaces. So AmericanShootingTrips.com. American. Oh, actually, I can say a little bit of a segue, semi-segue, shameless plug. If you want to pick up some English shooting merch, head over to EnglishShooting.org. You should all know how to spell that. You can go on there, pick up stickers, patches, caps, all sorts of swag. Be adding, this is another New Year's resolution, I'm going to be adding to this as well, expanding it. But if you go to EnglishShooting.org, not only can you pull up cool, sexy swag, but if you go to home, pretty much all of the partners, every company that or club that I want to endorse. There are others that I endorse that aren't on here, but partners, people that have been, or organizations, clubs, and people that have been incredibly supportive of the channel and myself over the years, they're on here. I should really get in contact because there are more and get more up there. But you can go on to American Shooting Trips. It is a link there. So yeah, go on to EnglishShooting.org, get yourself some merch. Head over to American Shooting Trips via the link at the bottom of the homepage. And just for confirmation, if you don't want to support the channel and pick up some cool merch, just go to AmericanShootingTrips.com and you can see all of the different trips. So it is Kentucky 2022 in April. It's 2 weeks, so the first week and you've got the second week. Although David might need to change the dates there because they're not matching. But let's say the 18th of April is the first week, 25th of April is the second week, and I believe there's spaces available for both on those. And there's also a Utah October trip. So again, if you want to go out to Utah, plenty of videos on the channel showing you what the Utah range is like. Absolutely epic. Yeah, go and hit that up. So yeah, got that to look forward to in April. COVID dependent, it will be like the 3rd or 4th time now that COVID has scuppered that trip. And something else that I'm looking forward to using more, and there will be a full video out at some point about it, because not just because it's really interesting and I want to talk about it and show you just as a personal curiosity, but I really think there's a lot of potential there, and it's VR, right? Not just as an entertainment point, but as a training point, and to really hone that in. Talking about Ben Ducker, I believe, I don't know, I have to wait until the AGM. I mean, Jim won the level 3 in the Southern, and Ben won the Lambradich level 3. So it would depend on the, I guess, the points difference between them, who wins overall. But Ben is going to be first or second for mini rifle this year, and 100% be first and overall in terms of shotgun and open this year. He's a good shooter, and he wouldn't be dedicating his training time to something that he didn't feels gives him a benefit. So if you are friends with Ben on Facebook, there is also the Team Ducker page. I do need to keep giving him a nudge to put more out there. Ben, if you're watching, please put more on the Team Ducker page, because it just helps promote the Ducker brand as a whole, and then you won't get a load of randomers adding you as a friend. Maybe that's what you want. I don't know. But anyway, he posted some videos that were shared publicly on Magload as well, showing him using the VR. Not only because it's cool, because yes, that is a fully mag-loaded 1522 in VR. I know somebody get me some tissues. But you can see him doing stages and training. He's as quick as in VR as he is in real life. But what's really fascinating is the video that he posted this. So this was the Coats of Iron, actually one of my favorite stages overall. And he ends up putting aside, he constructed the stage in VR, and then like you can see the split. So the reason there's no, so what he's doing there, you're going to see in a minute these like portals appear. So because with VR, this is one of the downsides or limitations in terms of the training, is that not everybody has like a whole range to be able to do a proper stage, you know, in terms of the space. So if you were to actually run out this stage in your living room, you'd probably run into a wall. So what the VR is doing is it's teleporting you. Now that does actually take time, because you've got to, I think, press a button and then hit the portal that you want to do, and then it goes over. But obviously you're not getting the same sort of fitness. So that's what's going on there. But he shoots it very similarly to the you know, in VR as he did in real life. But it's just sort of fascinating to see him do it in real life, but also emulate that in VR. And just as a sort of a mental aid and mental training, the what ifs. What if I'd have done it this way? What if I'd have done it that way after the match? Well, the VR allows you to do that. You can recreate it in VR and try it different ways, and that really helps your training. So I'm really looking forward to utilizing VR even more next year. And the actual, I keep on wanting to call it a game. It's not a game. The app from Blobworks is just continuously getting better. The features that he's adding in, the attention and time he's putting into it is just absolutely incredible. Hopefully some of you guys got to see it back at the Target Shooting Show. But yeah, Aaron is just doing absolutely amazing stuff with it. So I want to give him as much support as possible. If you're interested, it's on the Oculus platform. So if you go to if you type in Oculus to Google, you can buy an Oculus from Amazon or go directly. They're £300. If you've got a bit of Christmas money, highly recommend it. Firstly, Beat Saber, really, really fun. Another game, Onward, that's actually really good for training. It is like a Call of Duty sort of game, but the setup that I've got of the gun that I use, it's got a red dot, and if you're taking a far away shot, you've still got to do, because it's VR and you're holding it, the same principles apply to it. So I'm still finding myself really good training. But then there's the Blobworks VR practical shooting, and you can get to it's still in the, what do they call it, the sort of Oculus Dev Lab or Oculus Lab. So it's not a fully released game yet, because it's still in development, but you can still go download it and still buy it. So to get to that, head over to Blobworks on Facebook, and if you scroll down to here, down into the about, you can find it there. And I'll just show you again. It's Oculus. You need the Oculus Quest 2, 300 quid, and then the game is 15 quid. A game, I could call it a game. It's not a game. Go away, honey. Don't need you right now. Yeah, VR practical shooting. I will be doing a full. Oh, it does comfort. So it supports Quest 2, Oculus Touch. So quite or that just supported controllers, Oculus Touch. So yeah, really can't rate this enough, and you will be seeing more of this on the channel, dedicated video. And I am planning on doing a full. Did I actually share that, or did I just go full meltdown? Did I actually show you the VR and all the blob works, or was I just? I don't know. I lost. I think I did. Anyway, go on to Blobworks on Facebook. I'll do it again. I don't know if it actually came up on the screen because I didn't know if I transitioned it properly. Blobworks. This is what you're looking for on Facebook, and then you can scroll down to here. Click this link. It will take you to here. I might just be repeating myself, but I really don't know. Delirious at this point. This will take you to here. This is where you can buy it, download it, add it to your Oculus account. So what I'm planning on doing is actually doing like a VR live stream at some point where maybe we could hold, I don't know where the functionality, I need to talk to Aaron about this, is being able to hold like a VR practical shooting party and like live stream, like going head to head with people. Like, again, this is what like excites me. Like, being able to do that for the channel and during live streams just adds another element. But maybe doing some like live stages with VR and really showing you live what the game's about. And if you've got any questions, I can answer all of those. But yeah, that plenty to look forward to basically in 2022. Need to stop playing so much Beat Saber and start using the Blobworks sim. Yes, I do, 100%. But it's so fun, and actually, it's not that. In terms of my activity, showing on Oculus, and this is genuine excuse, honest. Holly uses my account, so it might look like I'm a little bit more obsessed with Beat Saber than I actually am. But yeah. Anyway, I did say to Holly that it was going to be a relatively short one, but turns out that wasn't so true. Oh, I don't think I touched on this last week. A big thanks to Paul for making these. Unfortunately, this one, the Magload one's in a really crappy place at the moment. Oh no. Well, he didn't make them very well, did he? Paul. Oh. Anyway, I'll fix it later. Made these. They changed colour. It was part of our Connor's and mine Christmas presents, so I can change the colour of them. I'm gonna have that one red. I can have them fading. I can have some disco. Yeah, this basically I haven't got enough USB lines behind all of this, so this one will be moving to Insight somewhere during stream. It's just chucked there for now, but such a cool idea, like these illuminated logos. And I said to him, like, genuinely wanted something like this in the background, some more light, something else going on. So absolutely perfect. So a big thanks to Paul. Anyway, before you all go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the live stream. If you've made it this far through the stream and you haven't hit the like button, what is going on? But yeah, I am going to wrap it up there. I hope you've really enjoyed it this evening. I felt like it's been a pretty cool stream overall. Pretty happy with it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Mochaccino, let me know if you want help setting up a live stream for VR. Appreciate that. Will do. I still need to potentially get you down maybe when there's less COVID in this house, and maybe tweak live stream function, but I'll talk to you at some point. Live stream setup completely, and sort things out with that. But yeah, no, appreciate the offer as always. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this stream. But moreover, I hope you've enjoyed 2021. I hope you've enjoyed the video and the channel. And again, a massive thank you to all of the supporters, people that have commented, liked, subscribed, joined the live stream, like you mental lot, you know, donated, bought merch, supported in a variety of different ways throughout the year. I really wish you all the very best 2022. I hope it's significantly better than the 2020s we've had so far. And again, I wish you all the best, a very happy new year, and of course, I hope to see you soon.